I think that's going to be my next one. Oh yeah. 74 F100. 1974 Ford F100. With air conditioning. 360. Very nice. Man, that's a clean truck. With a 3 on the tree, that's awesome. Very cool. Let's get this thing in the shop. I got to put a lift kit on it. Thanks for Tommy for picking up the SRC Falcon. I don't think it's going to be out racing today, but it's going to be racing soon. Ah, the good old Ford twin traction beam front suspension system. Honestly, it's a horrible design, but it's durable and it destroys tires. But it gets the job done. For farm trucks, they were great, unless you were towing and had a bunch of weight in the bed, and then they would peel the tires off of them. But it's a 74 disc brake front end, kingpin, beam axle. We have a whole bunch of new parts to put into this. This truck is actually really solid. I don't know what was pop riveted in there or why. It doesn't look like there's any damage to cover up. Let me grab my light. I would say this is about as solid as a 74 Ford gets, honestly. Looks like she's had it repaired on there, or it's covered up by the... Yeah, she's been repainted. But man, they started with a solid truck. Looks like factory bedsides, factory cab corners, factory welds on the rockers. Looks like it had a little bit of a hole there that they patched up. Must have had some water sitting in it. Probably the same thing there. Huh, Not bad, man. Super clean truck. Super clean. So it had a dent there that they worked out mostly. Heck yeah, definitely worth building this truck. It's the right color too. I like the blues. Ranger. It's an MF Ranger. Different kind of Ranger. We might want to do a carrier bearing. It's got new radius arm bushings, that's good. It's got new shocks, but I'm not sure I'm going to be able to use those when we get this all back together, because this guy is getting what's supposed to be like a 5-inch lift kit. But I don't see anything for the rear, so we'll probably have to sort out some springs or blocks or a combination of the two to make that happen. Let me get the old suspension out. We got new radius arm cross member mounts that bolt in a different location, and I don't see my directions anywhere. They might still be in the cab. So we removed our clips from our brake calipers, and now find a fancy place to hang them from. It's probably just going to be that guy right there. We did go ahead and get new kingpin sets for this in case we needed it. They're not bad, but by the time I take them all apart and put them back together, might as well just put new ones in it and be done with it. And that spring is held in, the other one's loose. Twang! Oh, the holder's broken. Yeah. Or are those just J-nuts that aren't in correctly? Ah, it's just J-nuts. Okay, it's easy enough to fix. Give that some help, shall we? We'll give this fastener a little bit of help. I suppose we're supposed to take that out with a wrench. Because there's another nut in there that you got to take out. Alright, springs are out. Those guys are loose. Those guys are loose. So take our tie rod ends off and we can drop our beams out here in a second. Let me hang my other brake caliper up. take off the shock bolts. I think this is going to be heavy. It is very heavy. I should have taken those rotors and knocked this off. Let's drop the truck down a little bit. I'm trying to save your ears a little bit. Use the air hammer to cut off the 5 rivets. I'm going to use the air hammer to punch the rivets out, and that'll remove our original cast bracket. There is a bracket that bolts back in with this kit here, and then we have to go 7 5/8 inches back from the center line of this hole. We'll drill our new hole to set up our new bracketry. I'll save your ears a little bit. I'll be back in just a minute. Let's do the other side. You can see I take a cut-off wheel and I cut a slot through the head of the rivets. It makes them quicker to come apart. It allows me to chisel it that much faster. Gravity. So 7 5/8 inches from that hole is right about there, and this transmission crossmember bolt needs to come out, which will provide structural integrity laterally. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this bolt out, and we'll put our bracket on, and then we'll drill our holes, or at least mark our holes, our additional holes that we're going to drill, and keep moving forward. Well, that's an odd little problem to have. So this one's bolted in the rear hole, and this one's bolted into the front hole. Well, that creates a problem. Weird. Seven 5/8 on center. That looks correct. That is the forward hole and the forward hole. The rearward hole and the rearward hole puts us at just under 7 inches. Sorry, at 7 1/4 inches on center. So we're going to have to move the trans cross member to the forward position, to this forward hole there, and use the forward hole, and that'll get our spacing where we want it. It's kind of an interesting problem to come up with. Let's solve it. That was easy. Forward hole. Alright. So I got those two holes. I got one here. I'm going to put one here. And that should be good and locked down for what we need. I learned today that I need to buy some new step bits because mine are pretty dull. I suppose I could sharpen them. They're nice pieces. This is a lift from AutoFab, 5-inch. We're probably going to do maybe a 2-inch block in the back. We have to kind of see where this thing sits before we decide what we're going to do in the back. But it's coming along. Slowly, but slowly. Alright, so it's time to put in my new radius rods. These washers, this side to front, get off their nylock. Side to front, bushing, and it'll go into the new mount, and then this side to rubber. So it will be like that. Goes rearward, the other bolt goes forward, so they don't contact with the I-beams. Other bolt that. Come down, hit me in the head, I'd be dead. Who wants to watch that on TV? Like I was on the wrong sides. I have them on backwards. That makes more sense. Let's turn this around. I was thinking this was my driver's side axle, but it's actually the passenger side axle because these are rear steer. So the passenger side righting faces forward. Oh, that's passenger side righting facing forward. Weird. Weird. Passenger side righting facing forward. Driver's side righting facing back. That's the way I have it. It just seems like that's a whole lot of negative camber. Stopper. That's the stopper. And which side's the stopper on? The front? It doesn't show one on that one. Huh. Awkward. So this is frustrating. So AutoFab.com have made this kit. When you go to their website, there's nothing. It just doesn't go anywhere. The directions are basically just verbal directions. There's no deciphering of what goes where. And I just put on the arms, and I put them on with the shock mount up, because in my head that made sense, especially with it being a lift kit, that it's got a higher position. But the arm has a longer piece here and a shorter piece here, which I think the longer piece needs to be up, because this is our shock or spring pocket and it doesn't fit correctly. So I'm gonna have to flip this over so that I have that support, but it just doesn't feel right, because then the shock mount's going to be extra low. And I would think on articulation it's going to dent the shock just like it did previously with the higher mount. So I guess I'll have to think about that. Strange. You can see the others, the shock mount was actually low. And those guys are the same size, but that has the shock mounted low. So I guess I'm going to flip my radius rods from side to side, because that'll make my spring work better. Well, let's do all that again. Alright, so you can see my caster looks better now. I switched the arms from side to side. This actually has a bump stop welded on, and the bump stop goes to the back because it's rear steer. I didn't catch that when I started it. But these are a left and a right arm. The camber and caster is bent into these, so you do have to make sure you put these on the correct side. I just didn't know that, but it is what it is. So I took them back off, switched them around. So now I'm going to get my spindles off of my old arms and put those on, and then we'll put our steering on, and then I have to make some new straps, because these straps that hold the spring in are broken on both sides. So I'll have to make something for that. And then we can hopefully set this thing on the ground and move it around. Yay! Moving forward. Progress. The old kingpins actually look pretty good, so we're going to reuse them. Bushings. Get my steering linkage in and my brackets that I made for my coil springs to hold them in place. Alright, so we're going to need, this actually has different brake lines, which I think they're long enough. The AutoFab 5-inch lift kit is coming together finally. I did make a new strap for up in here to hold my spring in place. We're going to need to do longer shocks, so I went ahead and removed the shocks that were in it. Looking pretty good. It's time to hang our coil over here, and then we will put our caliper on and remove this shock. Moving right along. Alright, so I have some longer braided brake cables. We'll switch those out, we'll bleed our brakes. And then it's time to figure out shocks and rear lift blocks. So this one fought me a bit. The directions are vague, to say the least. But the front beams do go on a specific way. They are bent for right side, left side. They were not marked right side, left side, anywhere that I could see. But it is what it is. Got it figured out. Got it moving in the right direction, which is out of the bay, so that I can do one of the 3 other vehicles that I've got sitting in here that I had to wait for parts on, because we can never seem to get the right parts for anything anymore. Just seems to be the way of the world, I guess. So it's looking pretty good. I'm kind of excited to see this thing sitting on the ground. These big nuts in here I just wrenched on. Seemed to be the easiest way to do it. And yeah, looking pretty good. Just tuned from the
So the fronts are already down and settled, and the arms are still on the track. Yeah. You're gonna need a couple inches.
We're gonna need 3-inch blocks in the back.
Trails left, just measure the shocks and we can get them.
You're gonna need some inches. Well, we're gonna end this one right here. As you can see, she's a little bit Carolina squat, which is not really the look we're going for, but it's been a couple of days. Now we know exactly where this thing is gonna sit. Now we do not have shocks on this thing yet, but generally speaking, this is kind of where this is gonna settle to. So we've got new rear leafs for the rear, and I think we've got a combination of leafs and blocks that we're going to be able to get our ride height leveled out here. Spoken to the customer as far as what he wants for the stance of the truck, and I think we've got a plan in place. We just got to get the parts here. So leafs, blocks, new U-bolts, shocks, still more to do, but that'll be on another episode. So we're going to leave this one here. Look at all Carolina. Very nice truck, really cool truck. Excited to see what it's going to look like. No idea what the next translation of this truck will be, but it should be something interesting. It's a pretty cool machine, very, very clean. Excited to see it done. We'll see you on the next one, guys. Thanks for being here. Like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. See you later. Bye-bye.